All right, here we are on our first monologue Monday. Thank you so much for all the interaction on my announcement video, and honestly, all your suggestions and encouragement really helped me just kind of, I don't know, get more excited about doing these sit-down videos. Because honestly, I haven't done them in so long that there was almost like this little nervous thing going on about, wow, am I really going to do this again? Like, it's just a lot more like almost vulnerable. But anyway, I'm super excited about it. And today we're going to jump right in with my infertility story.
Nap time.
Let's go.
All right, you guys ready? Here we go. I haven't talked about this in a while, but it was really interesting to me to watch other videos and stuff and see like, wow, like they'd struggled with infertility this long. Like, our journey was even longer than that, and I haven't even really talked about it. So if any of this can encourage you guys, then that is exactly what these videos are about. So my infertility journey, I mean, I don't even know when it started, because when we got married, when John and I got married in 2000, we didn't even know that we were infertile because we weren't trying to have kids. We were on the pill. We were, obviously not trying yet. So anyway, it was December 2003 when we decided that we would go off of the pill and start thinking about wanting to conceive. So 2004 was the first solid year that we had tried to have a baby. After that time, it was like, oh, this is kind of weird that it's not happening, but let's just focus on other things and pray. We just didn't know that there was anything wrong, and so we just kept being normal, thinking we were gonna get pregnant. And all of so many of my friends getting pregnant, and just pregnant parades all around, and that was difficult. But I was never like jealous or anything like that. It never got to that point where I don't know, maybe that's just not like how I'm wired. Like, like, if someone else is having a baby, that has nothing to do with me not having a baby. Like, they're not taking the baby that I would have had. So I never had a problem being happy or for someone else, or going to a baby shower or something like that. And the only part that was more difficult for me was just as their children got older and my infertility continued, it was difficult to see those kids turning 2, turning 3, and like, wow, like I could have, a much older child, and just that part of it was the hardest part. So not being happy for pregnant women or their babies, but just the years going by was the hard part. So yeah, that's really tough. Our first IUI in 2008. So it had been 4 years before we went to a fertility doctor. I would have told my past self to go ahead and make that appointment sooner, even if it's just to check your levels. John and I finally decided, okay, we're praying when nothing's happening, and we just kind of realized, if God wanted us to have a baby, we would have a baby with or without a doctor. And if he didn't want us to have a baby, we would have a baby with or without a doctor. So we just realized it's like there's no like, giving up in going to see a doctor. We went to one doctor in Long Beach, and we did an IUI and Clomid. And IUI is intrauterine insemination. So it's basically they take the swimmers from the guy, and not to be completely crude, but basically turkey baster where it needs to go, and then just to cut out any possibility of mobility or anything on the guy's end, which John's were fine, but just to get them exactly where they needed to be quickly, right on target. And yeah, that didn't work that first time, so that was really a bummer. And that was right before my sister Gretchen got married, and I was going to be starting to plan her wedding, and I was just like, you know what, I don't want to get pregnant right before her wedding. I knew she needed help planning it, and basically planned her whole wedding, which I loved to do. It was amazing. But I didn't want to be sick during it and everything. So we took a break, and then we came back to the idea after Christmas. So we had our next doctor lined up because I did some research on there's a national website. I have to look it up and link it below, but it shows all the statistics of different infertility doctors, and you can really do your homework and find one that has, more success. Anyway, so I found a doctor who had high success rates and high single success rates. But really I didn't care. But that's just like what they consider a better doctor. So I found one in La Jolla, and John and I went in and took our time and made the appointment it was in December or January. All I know is that we did 2 IUIs with that doctor. We did Clomid again, like the first doctor, and this time we did an ovulation trigger shot, just to make sure that I was ovulating right on schedule to get the IUI, all things good to go. Okay, so after the Clomid, we went in and he checked, and he was like, well, you have 3 viable eggs here. Are you sure you want to proceed? You do have the possibility of triplets. And we're like, what? Triplets? Oh my goodness. But after so many years, there was no way that we were going to say no. So we went forward with it. And I didn't realize that I could have tested, I guess, a lot sooner, because I was just so used to like my normal cycle and waiting and then testing and all of that. But so basically when I got the call from them, they're like, okay, great, so you're pregnant. And she just blurted it out on the phone because she didn't realize that I hadn't tested. And I was like, I'm what? I just was like hyperventilating over the whole thing. I was just like, oh my goodness, hadn't you tested it already at home? Most patients, test as soon as possible. And I was like, no, I didn't know. And I was just like crying, and John was with me, and it was so amazing. It's just like my heart's thumping right now. I was like, it was incredible. It was one of those moments that I do wish that we were videoing at some point, because I would love to have that moment, but I can remember it, and it's such a treasure for John and I, the first time we were actually pregnant, where we knew we were pregnant, it's just incredible. So that was January 2009 is when we got that call. And then, so that is our first baby. That is Aiden, who was born October 13th, 2009. It was a high-risk pregnancy because of the infertility involved and progesterone involved. But then he said, after this, it's possible your body will just kind of go, oh, that's how we make a baby, and just fix itself. And he was right. I was able to get pregnant with Declan without a doctor's help. I was planning Aiden's first birthday, and I was feeling kind of icky, but everyone had just had the stomach flu, and so I figured I was just feeling icky right along with everyone else, except for mine just kept going. And I was like, what is going on here? And then it kind of dawned on me, I'm like, oh my goodness, could I be pregnant right now? Like on our own, like not with a doctor, and just good old fashioned, and yep, we got pregnant. It was incredible. It was so exciting to be able to know that this might work for us now. It was awesome. So awesome. Yeah. And then between Declan and Quinn, we did have a miscarriage. And that was at 11 weeks. It was just before Christmas or just after, because we went through it naturally. You know what? I'm going to save all this for another video, because there's a lot more I could talk about with our miscarriage, but I want to hear more about your infertility journeys. If you have a little story you'd like to share in the comment section below, or if you even have a video on your infertility story, then go ahead and link that below. Let's keep this conversation going on there in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you next time I'm while they're napping. Bye.
Nap time. So sleepy. Let's go.